By means of a dialogue between Tom, the counselee, and a team of counselors, we will study about God's counsel, specifically a biblical passage about the stewardship of the body. We're going to look at 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Tom, as your situation is very serious, we want to help you with God's answers. To understand your problem, it is necessary to include an investigation about your physical health.
Yes, I was very happy that you all asked me questions about it, because it has helped me to examine myself before God. But there are things related to my health that are not the result of bad practices that I have committed, and I get discouraged when I have no help from medicine or from God. I will show you the sheets with my homework that I did during the week.
Tom, it is very good that you have examined yourself before God regarding your physical health, and we can gladly see your worksheets to see the principles of God that apply. In the Bible, it says that Paul had to learn how to deal with a similar problem to the one that you have just described. So let's open our Bibles, and we're going to look up 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 7 to 10. And let's see what God tells us through the Apostle Paul. Tom, instead of reading the passage in 2 Corinthians 12 aloud, you can answer some questions with the words found in the verses. According to verse 7, what problem did Paul have?
He was given a thorn in his flesh.
Thank you. That is correct. When he says that he was given a thorn in his flesh, we understand that it was not a result of something that Paul would have done wrong, but he came to have that thorn in his flesh anyway. It does not tell us much more about the thorn in the flesh, but since it was a weakness in his body and something unpleasant, what did Paul do according to verse 8?
3 times he implored the Lord to remove it from him.
Thank you. That's correct. Paul asked for supernatural healing, and God could easily have performed it. When God did not heal Paul, even though Paul asked him, what did Paul say according to the last part of verse 9?
Most gladly, I will rather boast in my weaknesses.
That's right. He said that he would glory in his infirmities. Then let's see what else Paul said. Tom, please read 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 10.
Therefore, I am well content with the weaknesses, with insults, with distresses, with persecutions, with difficulties, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong.
Thank you. It is not that Paul wanted more weaknesses, but because he had the weakness and God did not remove it from him, he said that he was content to find his strength in the Lord in the midst of his difficulties and weakness. Although Paul was serving the Lord fully, he had to endure under the weight of continuing and persistent weaknesses, insults, distresses, persecutions, and difficulties.
Can something similar happen to the believer today?
Yes, indeed. Pain and suffering can persist in the life of a believer who is completely consecrated to God. The emphasis is not on avoiding suffering, and it is not on living according to feelings and emotions, but the emphasis of the believer dedicated to God is to do the will of God and give honor and glory to the Lord in everything. This passage not only applies to sufferings in the body, but to any type of sufferings and difficulties. Let's take a moment to meditate and respond to what the Lord speaks to us through 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 7 to 10.